Hey, it's great to be, and I always have to think before I say this because I travel every weekend. It's great to be in Altoona. One day I was in, where was I? Well, anyway, I'll tell you what happened. I said, hey, it's great to be in Dallas. And two people raised their, yes, questions. Sam, you're in Knoxville, Tennessee, just to let you know, okay? I always have to think where I am. But I really enjoy doing this. One point I was doing 40 cons a year, even if I was filming. What was cool about it, a lot of times I would, if it was appropriate, I would include the comic con or the event in my shooting schedule for the film. So, you don't normally shoot on Sundays, but yeah, so I would at least do one day a weekend if I was filming. But yeah, I would say up until 2 years ago, probably 40 cons a year, which is incredible. And then of course that diminished a bit when COVID hit. But however, last year I was probably one of the few actors who started to travel, and I don't remember the exact month. Yes, okay. Come on in, guys. Who's that? All right. It doesn't bother me. I just thought someone else was saying something over there. So the states that opened up first last year, I jumped on board. Everybody complied. I think in the beginning, it could have been, late May or June of last year. I know that sounds crazy. But, we would comply, and we're talking about face mask, face shield, and a plexiglass wall. Okay, that's what it was. But it was okay. I did it. It also gave an opportunity for some brand new promoters to start doing it, becoming promoters, because a lot of people didn't really want to touch it. So yeah, and then I did that. I didn't do a whole lot last year, but then in February of this year, my buddy, you guys know the Power Rangers, Jason Font and Jason David Frank, right? They said, Sam, you got to start doing, since there's not a whole lot of comic cons, you got to start doing the comic book stores and the collectible toy stores. So in late February, before the cons opened up, I started doing, I was doing 3, sometimes 4 comic book stores and or collectible toy stores on the weekends, which was kind of cool. But remember, there's a close proximity issue that you can't infringe on. So I'll give an example. I'd fly into Ohio area, right? I'd do a comic book store in Columbus on a Friday. A Saturday I would go, I think, to Canton, right? At least 50, 75 miles apart. And then Sunday, I think I went to North Lima or Worcester. Is that how you say it? Worcester, Ohio. And then Mansfield. So yeah, it was, I did that for a couple of months. And what was cool about that is obviously I had to rent a car. For a Comic-Con, what's cool about it, they fly you in, put you in the same hotel, you're at one venue, that's it. It's easy, logistically, it's great. But for that particular, all those stores, it was a lot of driving. But what I love about that is just seeing the countryside of Middle America, like what you guys are. You guys all local? Anybody from out of town? Raise your hand. Where are you from?
New Jersey.
Oh, well, you know where I'm going to be Sunday, right? I'm going to be at I'll be here Friday and Saturday only. I'll be at the Garden State Trading Card Show in Secaucus, New Jersey, this Sunday.
Oh,
you didn't know that, did you?
No, I didn't.
So you came all over here to see me, and you didn't know I'm going to be in your city on Sunday. I love it. No, but it's good you came because obviously it's a trading card show only in Jersey. Even here, I think 2 weekends ago, I drove through 3 states. I did 2 events. I did the Weird Wonderful World of Bizarre. That was a kind of music festival. I did that in that was Columbus, Ohio. Then I went to Morgantown, West Virginia. So I think I was in Ohio, West Virginia, and the corner of Pennsylvania, I believe, all in one weekend, driving and seeing all the sights. And what you have here is really kind of cool too. I know you guys are used to it, and it doesn't But being a California guy, yeah, we got a lot nice, but you got to drive to the mountains or the beaches, whatever. But here, you got these really cool, homes from whatever, 150 years ago, maybe older, right? 200 years old. And then you got all these forests and these trees that go on and on forever. So it's really cool to be in the smaller towns of America where the beauty is there. It's not hasn't been tainted like it is in California on certain places. But yeah, so that's sort of part of my life now. Again, if I'm not filming, I'm traveling and or both at the same time. And of course, at home. So we moved to San Diego, I think 16 years ago, and we just sent our last 2 kids to college. And you would think that we would downsize, but my wife and I actually upsized and bought a bigger property. So what does that mean? That means when I'm home Monday through Thursday sometime, Monday through Thursday, it's a different home project, which I love doing. And then, of course, when Thursday rolls around, my wife says, okay, it's time to leave. It's time to go. Get back on the road, okay? Which I love. It's healthy. It really is. Yeah, so I enjoy doing this. I enjoy being part of your passion and your fandom. And I'm one of the few actors who, remember, let me give you a quick history about me, why I like to tell the truth and who I am. I've been a Southern boy, country boy for 67 years. I've been a Marine for 50 years. In my mind, I'm still. And I've been an actor for 45 years. So that's the character that you're dealing with. So I love to tell it like it is and cut to the chase. And I got a great family, got a great wife, almost 30 years. We have 5 children, 6 grandchildren. And I'm doing multiple projects, you name it, from doing a comic book, actually 2 different comic books right now. What else? I became when the movie business got slow about 20 plus years ago, my wife was very encouraging. Now this is for the guys out there, because I understand here's what happened to me. So about 20 years ago, I got hurt on a stunt. I don't do my own stunts, fight scenes. I got hurt and I had to, take some time off and heal. So I started getting a little bit spoiled. Waiting at home for the phone to ring about 20 years ago, my body had already healed, but I started enjoying that government check coming in, right? Well, the body was healed, but I kept telling my wife, I don't know if my mind is healed yet, okay? She said, your mind will never heal. But here's the deal, honey. She said, you're a talented actor. I've been watching you wait by the phone for eight months. The phone's not ringing. We have 2 kids in diapers. One other kid just out of diapers, and the 2 were a little bit older, the other 2. And she said, there's the door. You come back to this family when you're providing for this family. And thank God, men that will have spouses like that. So that not only did it, so I immediately went out, my buddy, here I am, probably 45 at that time, 22 years ago. And my buddy owned a construction company. And I really want you to hear this, because there's no excuse. If we're hurt, we have to wait till our body heals. But there's no excuse for waiting by the phone to ring. Men, we need to get our asses out that door and go get a frickin' job, period. Even if it's not what we want to do. So my buddy owned a construction company. I started doing construction. I excelled. $8 an hour, if you can believe that, right? And I was good. I became sort of an assistant foreman of a labor team. That means hard manual labor. And I realized, and this was going on for a couple months, and I said, I can't do this. So I reconnected with a couple military guys that were doing high-end security operations. I said, tell me how long will it take me to get retrained and all my, weapons and certifications? And they said 6 months. I got trained up, had all my permits within 3.5 months, and I became a security professional. Traveling part of the world, protecting VIPs, protecting some very important people traveling to high-risk environments. That's what I have been doing off and on now for 20 years. And now I'm missing the hands-on, but I'm more of a consultant. So so here's the light bulb moment for me and for all of us guys. So I started doing this construction, I became a provider. It saved my marriage. I knew I couldn't do it, so I ended up getting a second vocation. And because I did that, and I listened to my wife, and I'm not waiting around for the frickin' phone to ring because it may never ring, I applied myself. And guess what happened about 2 or 3 years later? The phone started to ring to do more movies. So now I get to do both. And this is my message to the guys who are waiting for the frickin' phone to ring or waiting for the cash to fall from the sky. It's not going to happen. We need to go out there and do it. It was a life changer. It saved my marriage, and now I'm able to, my God, if the movie business is slow, I could run security operations. If that's slow, I make whatever, personal appearances. So thank God that happened. And if you watch my documentary called Life After Flash, I cover these things and I mentioned them. They titled the documentary Life After Flash. I call it the do's and don'ts of life. And especially for us guys. Myself, for many years, and the guys I hung out with, I think we lived, seriously, in insanity. And our insanity was, making the same choices over and over again and expecting a different end result. That's not how it works. It's not how it works. It's a madness. It's a mad, foolish thinking, but it's insanity. If we want success to happen and we want change, we have to do what? We have to make different choices for that to happen. So anyway, I had to stop hanging out with a certain group of guys, which was a big plus for them and for me, and their lives changed too. And then of course started listening to my wife more. So that's where I am now, and I do and what I was trying to tell you before, which I moved on to a different, is I do these, and most actors won't tell you this about being honest. I do this for 3 reasons. I do comic cons and events for 3 reasons. To please the fans, to please you, to please the promoter, and number 3, most actors won't tell you this, to generate as much provision as I possibly can for me and my family. Other actors say, I'm just here for the fans, man. Oh, you're right, okay, yeah. Are you paying your bills, okay? So that's why I do it, and again, especially the past year and a half, just to be part of your passion, you know? I know a lot of us had to be told, okay, you can leave your house now, you can go outside, you can take part in community, and thank God we're allowed to do that now. But especially the past couple months, man, to see the joy and the passion, it's really cool to be part of that. But anyway, that's where I am now, and again, I do these on the weekends, and then sometimes I film during the weekdays, and then if I'm not, during the weekday, I go home and I do a freaking home project, you name it. I don't climb trees like I used to, but I have the largest oak tree in our community, so I hire a team of tree climbers to get up there and trim the oak tree. But I do build stuff. Our backyard walks onto an old vintage rundown golf course. And what do I like about that? Well, if it's an old vintage rundown golf course, it means it's not that busy. That means I can walk on anytime I want, as long as I don't cut somebody off. And sometimes you won't see a group for 45 minutes, maybe longer. But from my backyard to the golf course is this wash, the drainage. It's about from here to those chairs right there where you can't, and I have a golf cart, right? So the only way I could drive on is now I have to build a little bridge. So I am personally building a little bitty bridge, and I've got these. I started out, I had to call my buddy who owns the construction company, because with this golf cart, and it's a 4-seater, by the way. Sometimes my kids would be driving. You know, we're gonna figure that out soon. And then of course I got a bunch of grandkids. So this little bridge about 8 feet long and 8 feet wide. Now I want it wide. The golf cart's only 4 feet wide. Well, if we're gonna allow our kids to drive a golf cart, let's make that at least double the size and width, okay? And the drop off into the drainage is probably only about 4 feet, but still, it could be very dangerous. So I went out and got 5 6x6s, right? 6x6 redwood of 6x6s. That's the substructure right from underneath. And then on top, I'm going to have 8 2x4s. I probably should have gone with 4x4s. 8 2x4s, which are 8 feet long, going this way. And that's the deck. So that's what I'm building right now. And when I'm done with that, I got about probably 182 more home projects to do. But that's my life right now, and just, I love it, and this is exciting. So, with that said, let's have some questions, man. And remember, you can't ask anything crazy or stupid. You know, if it is, I'll just make you drop and do 50 push-ups. Other than that, you're okay. So feel free to ask anything. Go ahead. I know you got a question, and I know you got one too. I could tell by your behavior. Am I right? Okay, no, I was wrong about you. Okay, you. And I know you got, go ahead. You got your hand up first.
So when you were on Flash, when you were making that, was there a particular time, you had to do a lot of physical things in there, a lot of running, stuff like that. What was particularly challenging making that movie for you?
When you're 24 years old, and you know, I played Marine Corps football anyway, it's a no-brainer. You could tumble and roll on the concrete, which it was. There's nothing to it. I mean, that's, you know, when you're young, you just do it. The body doesn't think about it. I can still do it now at 67, but I'm going to be in a bathtub of ice for about 4 days afterwards, right? Okay? Yeah, when you're young, you just do it. Sam, go jump off that thing and do that and roll on the concrete. Yeah, not a problem. Making sure that I was completely prepared every day if there was a lot of dialogue or whatever the action called for, you know. But I got the part. I mean, Dino De Laurentiis would cast his actors, hire his actors based on similarities. So if you take a picture of Buster Crabbe, the original Flash Gordon, right, from the 30s, and by the way, when the movie came out in 1980, he showed up with me in his 70s to help promote Flash Gordon about 2 weeks before Christmas 1980. But people forget, Buster Crabbe was Flash Gordon, Buck Rogers, Tarzan, one of the 18 Tarzans. He was also Captain Gallant, and he was also Olympic swimmer. So yeah, getting back to all the youth stuff. That was all pretty basic stuff. I never got. I just wanted to be prepared. It was my first big role. I just wanted to be prepared every day. And I found out real quick, and this is another little light bulb moment for us, no matter what industry we're in. When I first walked on the set, people usually ask me, well, how did you handle everything? I usually get 2 voices in my head on any situation. I don't know about you guys. Usually the first voice that likes to speak in my hearing is that voice of negativity. It's that voice of, you can't do this. You don't belong here. And this is what happened on Flash Gordon after I got the part, which was, by the way, 9 or 10 months of freaking interviews and auditions. Crazy. They don't do that anymore. And as a Marine, I like to be told. I'd rather you tell me right now, Sam, we don't want you, period. I'd rather hear that. But you put me in a pending mode, you put me on a waiting list, oh, we'll get back to you. Ooh, and I've probably self-sabotaged some jobs before by saying, hey, I'm done. Okay, it's been 3 weeks. You tell me now, you either want me or you don't. Well, in that case, we don't want you. I said, good, I can live with that. But don't say you're gonna call me back in 2 days and it's already been 3 weeks. Homie, don't play that game. I don't play that game, okay? That's a little rabbit trail I just got on. Where was I in the Flash Gordon deal? On the...
the physical...
Right, the voices in my head. So the day I walked on that set, I'd already been there, now we're starting to film, and that first voice said, oh my God, look at this. You can't do this. Look at these actors. That's Max von Sydow over there. That's Brian Blessed. He's done all the King Lear and all the Shakespeare. And that's Ornella Muti. She's already done, 15 movies in 5 different languages and all that. And who are you? You don't belong here. And so it started. So if and when I did receive that and just leave it at that, right? You're lost. I'm lost. I'm going, yeah. You kind of walk around like a zombie. But usually the other voice comes in. And that second voice of reason, which I call the voice of God, says, shut up. You do belong here. And yes, they've been around a lot longer than you. They're more experienced. But that's not your freaking worry. All this other stuff, the sets, the production designer who did all the Fellini movies, because really Flash Gordon was a visual masterpiece. It's corny, it's camp, but a visual masterpiece. And that other voice says, stop the nonsense. You're thinking about all the wrong stuff. And then I realized, and then the voice says, okay, just when you go home at night, study all your lines. When you walk on the set, you be the most prepared actor than anybody else. And you do not think of all the other stuff. Why do you think they tell athletes, especially baseball players, everybody else, block out, the sounds, block out the Major League Baseball stadium. When you're up to bat, block out the guy who's calling your name and cussing you out. Block that stuff out, because it's just stuff out there to distract and hinder us from stepping into our gifting, to stepping into our purpose. So I usually follow the second voice. Yes, you can do that. Anybody else, even if it's not in my own head, if I'm starting to speak negative, or if the voice in my head is, or if somebody else is, I stay away. So that's what I dealt with on the first day, and it became. And I've no matter what I do in life, and for you guys, no matter what your industry is, what you do, same thing applies. Same thing. This should be your thinking. This should be your mindset. Don't let these stupid things. I don't care about popularity, meaning, well, everybody else is doing it. I don't care. Is it bringing positive results? Is it ethical? Well, nobody else is. I don't give a damn if nobody else is ethical. I'm going to be ethical. And sure enough, the last 45 years, I've had great success doing things this way. But anyway, that was another light bulb moment, because, man, I got a buddy who says people will wear you out. They mean well. A lot of them mean well, but they say and do things that will just wear you out, especially if, anyway, I don't want to get there. Another question. I could address it. Yes, sir.
When you were doing Flash Gordon, was there any moments where you could ad-lib or improv, or did you have to stick to the script 100%?
Well, we did have a lot of freedom. Did everybody hear the question? Yeah. Well, we did have a lot of freedom, which was great. But because, and I got this part not because of also because of the similarity and likeness. If you take a picture of Buster Crabbe at the age of 24 and a picture of me at the age of 24, you put them side by side, you're going to say, oh my God, they're twins. So it wasn't just based on, the look, but also that youth. But yeah, I tell you, I knew I'm stepping into, I didn't think of it as stepping into Buster Crabbe's shoes, because Buster Crabbe, as the original Flash Gordon, is who he was. I just knew that I just had to bring my gifting to it. I did try to figure out, well, why in the heck did they hire me other than I played Marine Corps football? That was a plus, okay? The characters, remember the character? Flash Gordon, quarterback, New York Jets, right? But I had to block out everything else and just cut to the chase, as I like to say. But you had another part to that question.
I've read somewhere that did you add the yeah at the end?
Yeah. I mean the script. Part of it was a little improv. But really there wasn't a whole lot. My other gifting on why I got it was my naivete as Sam J. Jones. My first lead role, so they wanted him to be like that. So there wasn't much acting. It was just like, oh, I'm here. This is cool. So, there's the bad guy. I gotta go neutralize the bad guy. There was no heavy thinking and let me get into some deep, heavy. No, it was just, there's the bad guy. I'm the good guy. Bada bing. We stuck to script, but as far as the ad-libbing, it would probably be during all the action sequences, even though we had to rehearse to avoid injury. But yeah, I had a lot of freedom. The crazy thing was, Nicholas Roeg, the first director, I think he did almost a year of pre-production. Well, he left 3 weeks before filming. So Michael Hodges stepped in, got hired. So you're talking about, and that's why the look is what it is. It's two different directors, two different visions. Yeah. Okay, who's next? Come on.
I do have one.
See, I knew you did. I can tell in your behavior you had one.
Who did you learn the most from coming up?
You mean anything? Who did I learn the most from coming up? You mean anybody, anything?
Anybody, anything?
That's a great. I've never been asked that before. So we could say influences, right? Who influenced me, whether they knew it or not. Okay.
Whether they didn't know it.
Yeah. Well, no, it's a great. Well, I've always wanted to meet Clint Eastwood because my quick little story before I was even going to be an actor, I joined the Marine Corps at the age of 17 out of high school to be a lifer forever and ever and ever. And then I started playing Marine Corps football. And I said, I'm good. Matter of fact, I need to play pro ball. So I did my one hitch in the Marine Corps. I went to Seattle. Now I'm done with the Corps, right? Thinking I'm going to Seattle Seahawks. I'm going to play. This is how, when you're naive and you're young, but it's still a vision. It's still a plan. There's nothing holding you. It wasn't arrogance. It was just, this is where I belong in my mind and in my heart. So I chose Seattle because my grandparents lived there and I had a safe place. So I got to Seattle. I tried out for the Seahawks and they said, thank you, but we don't need you. So I left the Corps, which I was going to be a lifer. They don't want me and I stayed there for one season to play on their practice squad, the semi-pro team called the Burien Flyers. And then I'm kind of devastated. And then getting to your question, who influenced me? It's amazing when we as men get devastated or down or depressed. All those D words, disillusioned, despair. If we keep our head up just a little bit, the good Lord will he'll open a little window or crack a door so we can see it. But if we're so down and I'm just a loser, well, we're not going to see that little bit of light. The craziest thing happened. I wasn't reading magazines there. Someone threw a entertainment magazine in front of me, and there was an article on Clint Eastwood. And I read that article on Clint Eastwood. And that Clint Eastwood, inspired me to go to Hollywood. And he doesn't know this to this day. That's why I'm hoping to meet him. I didn't sit there and say, I can do what he could. Remember now, this is 1970. I went in the Corps in 72. This would have been 76, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1976. So that meant Eastwood had been in the business for 21 years at that point. So I said, I don't know if I can accomplish what he's accomplished. And I was reading all the stuff he was doing, not just movies and directing and writing and acting, but all the stuff he would do on the side is really what did it for me. He was like a real man's man. I remember one part of the article. If he wasn't in a movie on the set, he never waited by the phone to ring. He was out digging ditches. He was out before they can get heavy equipment in somebody's backyard or whatever. He would be digging pools by hand. Think about that for manual labor. And so I have the greatest respect. So that was an influencer to me. And I love what Denzel Washington says. If you ever get a chance to Google any of his college commencement speeches, he's unbelievable. He says, dream and dream big, but a dream means nothing without a plan. So even, and now Denzel wasn't saying this in 1976, but I'm just saying I knew I had to go to Hollywood, and I knew I had to have a plan. Go to Hollywood, I had to have a car. I bought my grandpa's second car, a 1968 Dodge Coronet 440, okay? It was a great car. And I think that car back then was still worth $800 to $1,000. But he was making it look like he was a tough deal. He was blessing me. You know what he said to me? He said, I know you're going to Hollywood, son. I'll sell you my car, but you're not going to get it for anything less than $50. You know, it's like, are you kidding? It's like, Grandpa. He goes, no, I don't want to hear it. Okay, you're going to pay $50. You got it? In other words, he was giving me a freaking gift. He was blessing me to say, go. You have my blessing. So I had a car. I knew when I got there, I had to get a job as a waiter. I knew I had to get with a good acting class. I did. I knew I had to get my own place, but I had an aunt who lived there as well in L.A., so it all happened real fast. But that was the person, Clint Eastwood. He doesn't know it to this day. Well, maybe he does now because I mentioned this probably 20, 25 times. Other guys, growing up, it was John Wayne. I mean, you know, I never thought I'd be, you know, that didn't give me the aspiration to go to Hollywood. But what else? And then getting to Hollywood, it was just some of the people I worked with. Max von Sydow inspired me. But really when I got there, I knew I had heard stories before, but I don't care about stories. I'm a get it from the source. I can't stand gossip. I can't stand rumors. I never have. I like to know, say, you know, when you hear, Sam, did you hear about that guy? He did this, he did. I said, really? Let me go talk. Where did you get that? Where did you hear that from? Well, you know. I said, no, I don't know. Everybody knows. Well, tell me the everybody. So I'm the guy that likes to go like an investigator. I want to go to the source. So when I got to Hollywood, I just knew, look, be very selective on who you hang out with, and don't trust anybody. And I was very selective of my circle of friends. And if I wanted to get something done, by golly, and get it done right, I did it myself. And that's sort of been my philosophy a lot. I mean, we have to have representation for movies. But as I get older now, usually the people that hire me now are people I've worked with over the years. And what's really cool about, and I want everybody to remember what I'm about to say, because you hear people say, don't believe when people say to you, oh, you know, we're getting old now and you're getting old and things are over. Well, let me give you another light bulb moment, okay? The older I get, okay, it's getting better and better and better. Yeah, I got a good wife. Yeah, I got a good attitude because I've been abased, I've been abound, but basically I had to learn to get over me. But again, being selective is everything. But I decided just to go out and just sort of take the bull by the horn. Take the bull by the horn, and don't follow any rumors or anything. And so in my older age right now, I'm starting to get these phone calls, okay? And again, I want you to put yourself in your industry. I'm talking movie business, I'm talking security business, and let's just say, okay, make it personal to you and whatever. I'm starting to get phone calls on these kids. Well, now they're adults. They were once 8, 9-year-old kids. I get the call, say, Sam, when I was 8 years old, I saw your movie, it changed my life. And now, my name is Seth MacFarlane, and I'm a big decision maker in Hollywood. And growing up, you were my hero. I want you for my TED movies. So this is my point. You hear athletes say, oh, I'm not a role model. Well, guess what, buddy? You are, whether you like it or not. So be very, I'm not saying walk on eggshells because of because of the public's sake. I'm saying just guard your tongue sometimes, watch your behavior, because let's just say I was a horrible, and I made some bad choices, believe me. I've not been perfect. Let's just say I was a horrible human being in the business. Let's say I was known as a horrible person in the film industry. Do you think Seth MacFarlane would call me to invite me into his TED franchise? No. But because I had a good influence, and he obviously heard how is my work ethic on a movie set and all that. So I'm just saying, for all of us, be ready for those phone calls. Whether it's, hey, I remember you 22 years ago, and I know I couldn't hire you then, but you know what? Because you kind of built me up. You said something encouraging. I got this job offer for you for whatever, 125, 225K a year. And I never forgot how you just looked at me and smiled, or you shook my hand, or you said something cool, and I want to hire you now. I'm in a position, I'm a decision maker in your industry, and I want you. So these are the kind of things that are happening in our older age. And the cool thing about me, and depending on what your industry is, I could do it because in the film industry, even in the security business, okay, the VIPs, the dignitaries, the people we're protecting, they want older, mature men and women. They want older men and women. But for the movie business, are you kidding me? We need little baby infants, and we need 90-year-old actors and actresses. So it's something that we can do forever and ever. And what's cool about this is 67 years old. That means if I'm continually, even right now, people are still watching some of my movies, right? And they're young. That means when they grow up another 20 years, 30 years, and they become a decision maker, I can still get the calls when I'm in my 80s and 90s. It's kind of cool, you know? It's kind of cool. So that's something to always think about. Especially now, guys, especially now, my God. We're so sensitive now because of COVID. We're so easily offended. And half the population is so freaking negative. And I'm not talking about, part of the deal is, oh, you didn't vote for him or you voted for him. Well, let me tell you what I did to become a freed man the past year. I have been fasting political news for a year. Now, some of my buddies who are in politics, they can't fast. They can't, they can't block that out. But I've become a freed man. I just stop the nonsense. I only want to hang out with people that, it doesn't matter. I mean, I always use the analogy because, we've had some floods. I don't know if you guys have had any local natural disasters in this area, but I remember the news when all that nonsense was happening about, oh, he voted for so-and-so or she voted for so-and-so. We hate you, and we hate you. Well, I wanted to tell both parties, by the way, hatred hates. No matter who you voted for, no matter who you didn't vote for. Woo! It's an easy brain. But all these natural disasters we've had, even during the COVID, floods or whatever, you see a guy in his canoe, in his boat, he's out there. It's a residential area. The freaking water line is almost as high as the top of the roof. He's out there in his boat saving somebody. Do you actually think the person in the water or the person in the boat, oh, before I save you, what political party do you belong to? Who did you vote for? Come on. Let's get real here. This is freaking madness to judge somebody on who they voted for and who they didn't vote for. So I decided, I found myself a year ago screaming at my news network that represents my political party. I'm screaming at the top of my lungs. And I said, you too. And my wife said, oh, hatred hates. Right? No matter what. I said, yeah, you're right, honey. It's time, isn't it? Yeah. 1 year. 1 year. The only time I watch the news is, believe it or not, when I'm on the airplane. Okay? I mean, it's right there in front of me. I don't put the ear things in, but I'm kind of watching, and I get a few things. But, you want to get freed up, and if that's not part of your industry, turn the political news off, guys, okay? If something egregious is about to happen, like a coup or a takeover, or I'm praying for a revival, thank God. That's what we need in America. We'll find out real soon what's going to happen, so we don't need to punish ourselves. But yeah, that's a long story on getting freed up. But oh my God, yeah, it's I'm a California guy, so it's wild. It's wild. But I'm in San Diego. Okay, now what does that mean, Sam? Okay, well, it's still part of California, but I'm north of San Diego, sort of out in the country. I told you about my little place with the old vintage golf course. So yeah, I mean, it's like stepping back in time. My wife takes a walk every morning. I'm out, outside, and every neighbor that walks by, good morning, how you doing? And they're all flying the American flag. There's no political party flags, but they all say, good morning, how you doing? And it's amazing. It's amazing. I love the area. Okay, come on, next. How are we doing on time? 5:16. Yeah. Come on, man.
How did you end up getting onto one of my favorite shows, Stargate SG-1, and can you talk about your experience with those guys?
Oh yeah, SG-1, it was great. Actually, it's a show that I did that half the population doesn't know that was me, because I think a third through the show I wore a mask, number one. But no, a great crew, one of the most difficult characters I ever had to play, because talking about improv, I like to improv a little bit, but on that show, they had their own sort of language, their own identity, which was cool. I just, there wasn't a whole lot of freedom, but it was wonderful. Matter of fact, I get a lot of kudos, not that I look for kudos, but a lot of people tell me that they love that character. And they were shocked in the beginning to find out that was me. When they see that picture of Eris Bach, the character name, the bounty hunter in SG-1, when they see that on my table, the first thing they say is that you? And I said, no, I'm just I'm just a stand-in. So no. I said, yeah. And they're shocked. They said, oh my God, I saw that. I didn't know that was you. And that's kind of cool to be part of that realization, But great show. And it was difficult. And I learned a big lesson about, and this is where you got to be open. So we filmed that 21 years ago, right? So what am I trying to say? So I would have been 46, right? I would have been 46. So here's the lesson here. No matter how old we are, we better be open-minded about taking constructive criticism, about growing and developing, because I thought I knew it all about memorization. Okay, I made a big mistake all those years before. I would always memorize my lines based on my blocking. Blocking. That means, okay, we're rehearsing the scene, and in the beginning of the scene, I'm sitting here, then I got to get up, and I got to walk over here, and I got to sit down next to you, and I got to take a weapon from you. So I'm memorizing my lines by all this blocking. Yeah, let me just if it's the wife, no, listen. So and then I'd get up now, and we're doing that long scene out there in the forest, SG-1. Then I'd be standing by the tree. Okay, go sit down on the log. And I had all these gizmos and props, and I'm memorizing. This is how I did it on every movie for years. I learned this from doing plays, right? And then more gizmos in my hands, and more this and more that. And then somebody else walks in the scene, and all of a sudden, the camera rolls and we shoot it. And no problems, man. Right on. Perfect take. No issues. The director says, Sam, do you have an issue if I change up a few things? I said, no, not at all. He goes, well, in the beginning of the scene, I don't want you sitting here. I want you to walk directly over there. Instead of getting that little gizmo prop from him, I want you to give him the thing on your belt. And then instead of going back over here and sitting on the stump, I want you to stand by that tree. And on this other tree that you were standing on before, I don't want you to go there. I want you to go over to the girl now. And man, okay, this is all happening right now. He's giving me as long as I took just now to explain it to you, that's how long he's taking. And then when you come back over here, I just want you to take a long beat and I want you to react to something behind you and then bada bing. He goes, you got a problem with that? I go, no. He goes, you ready to shoot? I go, yeah. Roll camera, action, speed. It's time for me to speak. Now I'm walking everywhere where I'm supposed to walk. Nothing came out of my mouth. I was completely freaking lost. Didn't know my lines. I'm thinking, where am I? I was completely freaking lost. So what's the point? Don't memorize your lines based on where they're telling you you're going to be, or based on where you're supposed to be. Memorize your lines any way, shape, or form. And I'll never forget it. The director turned to me. Remember, this is second, third, fourth, fifth take. Woo! Blank, completely blank. So we had to take a break, and that's something you don't want to do unless it's a lunch break, okay? Unless it's a crew lunch break. The director turned to me, privately, he said, Sam, you should know your lines so well that I should be able to hang you upside down from a tree, and while you're talking, throw little pebbles at your face, okay? And you should still know your lines. I said, Michael, you're right. So from that point on, at the age of 40, whatever my age was, 46, I memorized my lines, crying, screaming at the top of my lungs, in the bathroom, walking down the street, sometimes I just go up to strangers I didn't even know and just start giving my lines. Rehearse your lines anywhere you are. And especially if you do presentations, or if you have to do speeches, or if you're training for whatever it is. That's a piece of gold for you right there. Don't think, okay, I'm going to be standing at the board meeting, I'm going to be standing here, and there's a microphone. I'm going, no, act like you're freaking driving a race car. Rehearse it while you're driving a race car. It changes everything, man, So yeah, that was a big lesson, huge lesson, man. And a lot of people would not be open-minded for that, because you're saying to yourself, no, I'm 46 years old. I've been in the business already 20 plus years. No one needs to tell me anything. Well, yeah, they do, especially if that's your attitude. I love what they tell athletes. I have one son playing. I have a son playing college baseball. I got 3 sons and 2 daughters. Anyway, and I love and he listens to a lot of major league pros, the elite of the elite. And it's fascinating what the pros do. I don't care if it's football, baseball. Guess what they do every day? Even the top all-star players, they work on basic fundamentals every day. Why? Because they are still developing. And that's what blew my freaking mind. These top pros are still developing their skills. And they're the elite of the elite. And that's how they stay on top. So their mind is open to listen to corrective criticism, or what's the other way? Is that the right term? Constructive, thank you, corrective criticism. They're open-minded, and that's how they develop, that's how they grow, that's how they become the best of the best, is work on, no matter what we do, let's work on our basic fundamentals so we can develop as an actor, as a security professional, as a husband, as a parent, whatever it is. And you just say that for yourself as well. Yeah. So did I give you too much? Oh, Sam, that's too heavy, man. That's heavy stuff. It's good stuff, isn't it? Remember, I'm speaking from my failures and my successes, and that's what we have to do, Be very leery of people. I don't care what the industry is. Very leery of them telling you how great they are, okay? Really, you need to listen to people who have had tremendous failure in their lives as well. They're coming from a place. They're coming from a place where a lot of us, none of us are perfect, and we've had failure. And that's really, we want to listen to the guys who obviously are no longer making bad choices, who are no longer in a state of failure, but ones who got themselves, men or women, who took themselves out of failure and that are having great success. And we need to hear their stories, and we need to apply that to us. I want my kids, and I don't want my kids or my grandkids to make those mistakes. But guess what? A lot of times they just need to figure out we can instill those values, We can tell those stories. If you choose this, I'm an Old Testament guy in the Bible, the old book of Proverbs, the old book. I love Proverbs because it tells me, and you substitute your name for my name. Hey, Sam, if you make this choice today, you are a wise human being. Hey, Sam, if you make this choice today, you're acting like a fool. It's so clear. There's no gray area. I love that. So, but with my kids and my grandkids, they've heard all that their whole life, but guess what? My kids are from ages 20 to 38 years old. So they followed made some pretty good choices, but sometimes they had to just, no matter what we did as parents, they just had to figure it out on their own. That cool? So, yes, when it comes to, raise your hand if you're a parent. Come on. All right. We got a couple parents. Good. So with our kids, and here's what I tell my kids now. I said, do you understand when I'm 95 or 100 years old, I'm still your daddy. Okay? I'm still your daddy. I love that. And they're thinking, and my daughter says, oh, that's gross. 100 years old. I said, yeah. I said, do you know how old you'll be? My 20-year-old daughter, when I'm 100, how old are you going to be? And she goes, oh, that's even more gross. Anyway, any final questions? I guess I'm going to hit it. Yeah? Well, no, I still got a couple minutes. What do they say? Well, how long have I been here? See, my clock says 5:30, but it's probably 2:30.
Yeah, you got 4 minutes.
Okay, sorry. Okay, yeah, I got 4 minutes. Yes?
What was your favorite moment behind the scenes of Flash Gordon?
That's a good question. Oh, we had so many moments. Behind the scenes, not in front of the camera. Okay. Well, Brian Blessed was always a hoot. I still see him. He's 85 years old. He played Prince Baltan. Matter of fact, my last trip to England was at Liverpool, and it was with him. And he is a force to be reckoned with. If you ever get a chance to see any of his interviews, especially on stage, when he's doing a panel. Matter of fact, the panel we did was in front of 2,000 people. And I don't care if there's only one person. And Brian's the same way. Brian can walk into this room right now. If there's only one of you out here, he would be the same. He is a force to be reckoned with in a good, positive way. And we have this unique, uncanny relationship. I guess you call it our shtick when we do panels together. And this is how he does it. And I just play along. It just evolved this way. We never planned it. We never rehearsed. But anyway, we start out, he's got a mic, and I have a mic, and he'll say, and when we're introduced, we'll say a few words, and he'll get up, we're usually on a big stage, and he'll walk down stage where you guys are, and he'll get into a 10, 12-minute speech, monologue, sometimes longer. About every 10 or 12 minutes, he'll look back at me, and he'll say, look at Sam, isn't he beautiful? Now, back to me. That's our panel. That's our panel. And people howl. And then when he gets tired, because what he normally does, he'll sing Pavarotti a cappella. He's identical. He's a phenomenon. But it's only about 30 to 45 seconds. But, he's 85. So when he does that, the high C notes at the end? Well, he's about ready to faint. So when he sits back down, that's when I say, can I talk now? Yes, Sam, you talk. You talk. And so I get to say about a minute or two, and he goes, okay, that's enough. Okay. It's off the charts. It's off the charts. But yeah, so behind the scenes, he was always making us laugh. Ornella Muti, now, can I say, in front of the camera, they used to ask me, what was your most difficult scene? And I said this as a joke, but I would use the Ornella scene. I said, the most difficult thing for me is when Ornella Muti was sitting on my lap, and we were doing the seduction scene, the mental telepathy scene. And they said, what do you mean? What was difficult? I said, I just wasn't getting it. I needed it. It was only supposed to take an hour to shoot the scene, but I just didn't understand it. I had to get a second take and a third. I kept asking for a fourth take and a 10th take. and then people get it. Oh, Ornella was straddling my lap, okay, for the scene. I didn't get it. So in other words, I was asking for more and more, you know. She was wonderful. She had her husband with her. I had my girlfriend who became my wife, my first wife at the time. So, but she was amazing. People didn't know that at that young age, she had already made 15 films. You ready for this? English. A couple were in English, a couple were in Italian, a couple were in German, and one other French. That's how talented this actress was. And actually, I got together Brian, Ornella, Melody, and myself to travel all of last year and this year together for the 40th anniversary of Flash Gordon. But what happened? COVID, okay? But here's the unique thing. Remember, Flash Gordon opened Christmas, we don't care about that, it's 5:30. Flash Gordon opened Christmas of 1980 and carried over into early 81. So that's why I'm still celebrating the 40th. So now I just got an email a couple days ago. The German promoter wants to know if we want to come to Germany the first weekend of December, all of us. So we still might have it, so pray that this goes through. We still might have an opportunity for all of us to have, you know, the 40th anniversary together. It'll be in Germany, but so just pray and believe that will happen, because that would be so cool, you know, to have Brian at 85, Ornella's obviously in her early 60s, Melody is my age, and then I tried to get Timothy Dalton, but he's busy on what's that new series called? Like Death Race or whatever it's called. It's a new series. Anyway, it's an end times thing. Any final questions before I got to get back to my table and act important?
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you guys. Yeah. Well, yeah, so believe me, not to sound redundant or overdo anything, but all the examples I use that apply to me and my life and my industry, please just apply it to yourselves. You know, I mean, and some of it obviously are, you know, we don't have to keep making the same redundant choices if it ends up, especially if you hear it from a guy like me, who made millions, lost it all because of bad choices, decided to make good choices again, made it again, and then went back into the redundancy, thinking, oh, well, if I keep making the same choices, no, I didn't know. And then I lost that couple of million too, and then I did a seesaw, okay, back and forth. Whether it been millions, lost it, made it again, lost it again, made it again, like 3 or 4 times. Because, probably, I didn't talk about fear. I think that first voice is not just the voice of a loser or negativity, but it's fear-based. It's all, I think part of half of what we do these days or don't do is based on fear. And I don't mean fear, oh, I'm scared of that person. I'm talking about fear-based. Ooh, if I do this, I do that, or you know, I don't want to present that to them because they might fire me. Well, if you read some really good books of successful billionaires. I say that not for what you think, oh, because I want to be a billionaire. But all these books I've read, these billionaires were self-made. Money was not passed down from mommy and daddy to them. They had a work ethic and a spirit of excellence and risks. They had risks that they took. Not so much later on you have big financial risks, but they decided the defining factor for them was no, a little bit of what I thought, no, I believe this is where I belong. I have a great idea. And you know what? I know people are telling me I shouldn't do it because so-and-so might fire me, but I'm going to take the chance. They took chances, and they had a belief that this was their purpose in life, this is where they belong, and they stepped out. Did they have failures? Yes, they did. But they kept pushing through and pushing through. So if those are the things I can give you, that's what you want to roll with. All right?
Thank you.
Come on, man.
This is John Glover, and you are watching Fandom Spotlight. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Lionel Luther recommends it. Have some fun. Follow your fandom.